1 year later, how FSU students from Parkland are coping with last year's mass shooting.
Plus, romantic roller coaster, the ups and downs of dating in a college town.
And students scammed, the heartbreak of having to buy a ticket that should be free in the first place and still getting rejected. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Seminole Showcase. I'm Josh DeLiaco.
And I'm Chloe Harden.
February 14th, 2019 marked the 1-year anniversary of the day 17 students and staff were shot and killed at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
240 alumni of MSD are now Florida State students. They have found ways to rally and show support from Tallahassee. Seminole Showcase reporter Allie Rubenstein has the story.
365 days later, Stoneman Douglas alumni like Hannah Stevens still think about advocating for change from FSU's campus.
Being here and being away from it when they are going through such a tough time, and it's been such a long, tough year to watch and to go through, we're making a lot of progress, which is good, but there's still a lot to be done.
In Tallahassee, alumni proudly wear apparel of their alma mater, put stickers on their cars, and attend rallies to represent their high school. MSD alumni are not alone at Florida State.
Knowing that there's 240 students that had gone to Stoneman Douglas and now go to FSU, you know, Parkland's a very community-oriented town, and now coming here, we understand that, you know, we're not alone in this. You know, this stuff happens every day, unfortunately, and now, you know, we're just trying to figure out ways to help each other.
Former Douglas students were joined by FSU classmates and President Thrasher at the vigil hosted here on campus on the 1-year anniversary of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting.
If you don't have the chance to go home and be there, you have somewhere to be here.
You wake up, you gotta mourn, you gotta grieve about everything that happened, then you gotta go to bed. And this is just the start of it.
Valentine's Day will forever be a day to remember and commemorate the lives of the 14 students and 3 staff members who died in the mass shooting. For Seminole Showcase, I'm Allie Rubenstein.
In an effort to speak up for those who cannot, Stoneman Douglas students, faculty, and alumni will continue to lead campaigns hoping to make an impact throughout the nation.
Florida voters passed Amendment 4 in last November's midterm election. It was the largest expansion of voting rights since 1971. Citizens and legislators have been adjusting in different ways. Seminole Showcase reporter Logan Ward has more.
Don't give up.
I long for the day that my voice will be a part of democracy.
For 24 years, disenfranchisement was a heavy cross to bear for Pastor Greg James.
My data release said deceased.
Given a life sentence, Greg made a decision to change his life. Upon his release, Greg dedicated his renewed citizenship to restoring voting rights to ex-felons.
I was able to rally former incarcerated men and women to help be a part of this petition.
The amendment passed in November's midterm elections.
You couldn't scream, you couldn't shout, you were just in awe that the state of Florida said, hey, we believe in second chances.
Formerly convicted felons can now go to the elections office, walk through the doors, and register to vote. Supervisor Mark Early says he's seen a major increase in Leon County.
On January 8th itself, I think we had well over 100 people come get registered. Statewide, there has been an increase over most Januaries and Februaries.
Although Amendment 4 is self-executing and people are registering to vote, lawmakers here at the Capitol have been in disagreement about the language and how it should be implemented. FSU professor Mark Schlackman, who teaches a course on executive clemency, explains that without legislation, execution could be uneven across the state.
The point is to implement this evenly, as fairly as possible, streamline the process, and ideally be as inclusive as possible.
And although legislation is underway, Greg is just grateful to help.
This effort was for so many others.
Nearly 1.5 million others. Reporting for Seminole Showcase, I'm Logan Ward.
I'm gonna make it.
As voter registration and legislation move forward, James is serving as director of the Florida Urban Revitalization Coalition to boost economic development throughout lower-income communities.
A college campus should feel like a safe place for students, a home away from home. Unfortunately, at FSU back in the 70s, this feeling of safety and security was forever changed. Seminole Showcase reporter Alejandra Villabona shares why.
In 1978, Florida State University was just a normal university. Students enjoyed the campus and spent time with friends. This changed when serial killer Ted Bundy arrived. He drove in a similar VW Beetle to this antique one, driving by familiar places like the sweet shop. On January 15, 1978, the Chi Omega House became his next target.
It was here that Ted Bundy showed up in the middle of the night and brutally attacked several women. He ended up murdering Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy.
Lisa Edwards was a freshman at FSU during this time, and poor communication made some friends believe that she had been killed. Now, Bundy's name is regaining attention with the release of content on Netflix and Sundance. Edwards is concerned that the projects are insensitive to the victims.
Unfortunately, the women were they're almost sort of an afterthought. They're not the main topic.
Netflix released the Bundy tapes on January 24th, and Sundance released its film trailer on the 25th, both airing on the 40th anniversary of the FSU killings. And current students have their concerns about the sensitivity of the series and trailer. This FSU student chose to remain anonymous.
I can't even imagine what it was like, and to make a movie out of it just seems kind of cruel.
The murders made people afraid to walk alone, and emergency systems like the blue light telephones did not exist. And even after 40 years, the pain Bundy caused still has an emotional toll on the FSU community.
If I were given the opportunity to pull the switch on him, that I would do it personally, because I saw how he affected our campus and kind of what a black eye it was.
For Seminole Showcase, I'm Alejandra Villabona.
Luckily, Bundy was caught shortly after attacking the FSU community. He was executed by the electric chair in 1989. Some students struggle with eating disorders on college campuses. Fortunately, at Florida State, there are places students can go for help.
Seminole Showcase reporter Anna Luciano shares the story of one student who survived their own battle with the disease.
Getting in those last set of reps is everything and more for former top teen physique athlete Logan Reeve. As a former teen physique athlete, Logan Reeve looked healthy on the outside, but on the inside he struggled with a conflicting eating disorder.
I was conscious about everything. Like I had friends that were like, oh, hey, let's go do this or let's go eat here or whatever. And I'd say, no, I can't do that. I got the gym, I got practice, I got to make sure that I eat, my meals that I've prepared, and that's what I'm working with.
Luckily for Logan, FSU has many resources for students struggling from eating disorders. On West Call Street in the Psychology Building is FSU's own Eating Disorders Research Clinic. Graduate student and eating disorders researcher Charlotte Grillot speaks on the prevalence of eating disorders among college students.
You don't have to be a particular gender to have an eating disorder. You don't have to be a particular race or ethnicity to have an eating disorder. And you don't have to have a particular type of body to have an eating disorder, right? I think a lot of times people think that it's like thin white women. Again, kind of going back to that stereotype.
According to a national survey conducted by nationaleatingdisorders.org, about 32% of college-age females and 25% of college-age males suffer from an eating disorder. This number has been increasing annually. Students are just one call away from getting the help they need. Just by calling the psychology clinic, students can get all the resources they need to overcome their eating disorder.
Society played an influence in telling me what it is that you're supposed to look like, what's attractive, what's not attractive, what you're supposed to eat, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to be a man. I mean, literally everything about you gets kind of defined by society.
Reporting for Seminole Showcase, this is Anna Luciano.
If you or someone you know is struggling with an eating disorder, you can schedule an appointment with the Eating Disorders Clinic or call the FSU Psychology Department at 850-644-3006.
While FSU is a cigarette-free campus, numbers show vaping is on the rise for college students. According to Statista.com, 85% of adults ages 18 to 29 have at least tried e-cigarettes. Gallup.com finds that 20% regularly vape. Juuls are one of the most common e-cigarettes found at Florida State. Students say the fact that they're easily accessible is a big reason why.
I'm trying to cut back significantly on my juuling. I know that it can't be good for you. You know, anything you put in your body is going to be bad. It's going to have negative effects, so it definitely can't be good for you. So I'm going to try and cut that down.
The Florida State Health and Wellness Center declined to comment about what they're doing to combat vaping on campus.
It's really tough to park. You always have to just like stalk somebody that's walking to their car and like roll down the window and be like, hey, can I take your spot?
This is the reality for most students here at Florida State. However, things might actually be getting easier. According to the FSU Transportation and Parking Services Director, the number of students parking on campus is dropping. And with the introduction of 15 new electric buses later this year, students can find it easier to get to class on time while also helping the environment.
A church on Florida State's campus is combating stereotypes by providing a coffee shop and safe space.
And Josh shares the story.
You may have to look a little harder for this coffee shop. Calvin's Coffee House is located on Copeland under U Kirk Presbyterian Church. Scattered with couches, art, and posters, this isn't your regular cup of coffee.
Calvin's has a really special and unique community that doesn't exist in a lot of other places in Tallahassee. All of the baristas are essentially a family, and we consider the customers part of our family too. So it's more about loving people and creating space than just serving coffee.
You may not think this coffee shop is connected to a church because of the pride flag hung along with inclusive posters and art.
Upon realizing that it was a church, I was kind of blown away, and then I was kind of nervous to go back at first, but then I saw how welcoming it was and the different posters that are up, and it was just like, it was very cool.
The stigma around the relationship between the LGBT community and the church is being peacefully challenged in this safe space.
The baristas are queer, and a lot of us don't feel safe going into other spaces that are religious, but Calvin's is a religious space that is, we just care about every person as an individual.
Because it makes you more comfortable, it makes you feel like you belong, that you can like sit here amongst friends and like enjoy yourself.
Calvin's Coffee House has become an unofficial safe haven for the many who enter its welcoming doors. For Seminole Showcase, I'm Josh Diliaco.
Calvin's Coffee House is continuing to grow and be more involved in the community. Every Thursday, they host an open mic night to allow anyone to have a voice.
Businesses have been scrambling to move into the South Monroe Street area to help rebuild that part of town. And a popular brewery that FSU students who are old enough like to visit is leading the charge. Seminole Showcase reporter Brady West has the story.
Just south of downtown Tallahassee, business in the South Monroe area has seen little growth in recent years, but some businesses are moving here in hopes to change that. With Proof Brewing Company and others moving in, the neighborhood is expecting a sort of renaissance.
Craft beer, just like everywhere, is about community and building up together. So it's a very synergistic community. We are all in the same fight to gain market share and grow the beer scene.
According to Proof's website, the brewery's new facility allows them to brew 5 times more beer than their last location. This will allow Proof to expand their community and their reach into different markets.
Well, the location here is great. I mean, everything here developing right by Cascades Park, part of the downtown growing. It's a great place for us to kind of develop, to grow. It's great to kind of put a little life back into the South Side, or South City as some people call it, but it's amazing to help develop this area.
The craft beer industry accounts for 23% of the U.S. beer market and continues to grow each year. And with Proof's expansion, they plan to do the same to the local economy and bring this once neglected part of town back to life.
The South Monroe area, it's an up-and-coming area that we're really excited to be a part of. I think Proof will be one of the catalysts for growing this side of town as far as the economy goes and different businesses and communities in the area.
For Seminole Showcase, I'm Brady West.
The SoMo area is ripe for business growth that will hope to attract more Tallahassee locals and FSU students in the coming years.
Another FSU student favorite is the Railroad Square Art Park. However, it's starting to look different as construction began in April on a new hotel. Not everyone is excited about this new addition. Seminole Showcase reporter Marianne Montague has more.
With the music, the shopping, and the art, First Friday is the place to be once a month. But rumors of a new hotel is causing some worries.
I did hear the other day from my roommate that they were thinking about
canceling First Friday.
But one of the landowners, Lily Boyne Kay, reassures that this will be for the best.
First Friday is going to continue. Often people think of Railroad Square just as a First Friday destination, and just coming out once a month is really not enough to support the artists and small business owners.
And while some shop owners are ecstatic,
with each hotel that has been built with both the Marriott and the Hampton, we have seen an uptake in business.
but there are others dreading construction day, such as Black Dog Cafe owner Carla Reed, who will be right next to it all.
They are going to tear down my bushes and put asphalt here. Sitting on this deck next to asphalt will not be nearly as pleasant, especially not while they're pouring it.
How do we preserve the uniqueness and share and promote a place? It's an interesting balance.
And only time will tell if this balance comes to fruition. For Seminole Showcase, I'm Marian Montague.
Construction for the new hotel is expected to end in January of 2020. As a senior in college, there is a lot of pressure of getting a job after graduation, but why not create a job for yourself while in college?
Or why not create an entire company? Hannah King is a student and is also running a full-fledged business that centers on Guatemalan artisans and ethical fashion. Her company, Woven Futures, sells hand-woven objects internationally while paying the people in Guatemala, who are making the goods, a fair, livable wage.
The reason that I started Woven, yes, I saw these artisans with a great, beautiful talent and a lot of poverty in the country, but we wanted to be able to really transform communities.
Hannah is hoping to expand the company even more by purchasing land in Guatemala and getting woven products in wholesale stores.
If I would give anything to do it all again, I would, definitely 100%.
Before even stepping foot on Florida State's campus, future students have the option to spend their entire freshman year halfway across the globe. It's called the First Year Abroad program. According to FSU, more than 100 students participated during the 2016-2017 school year. Students have the choice to study in places like Spain, Italy, Panama, and England.
For students who can't afford to study abroad, they can at least get a taste of it here on FSU's campus.
Thank you.
Florida State students and chefs take weeks to collaborate and prepare a cultural experience served at the Global Cafe. For only $8, teachers and students get cuisine from around the world. To find out more, go to the Center for Global Engagement website. I've never eaten at the Global Cafe, but I would love to try it.
I haven't been there either, and I'd love to go right after this. Now, let's toss it to Alejandra Villabona, who has the latest on entertainment.
Thanks, Josh and Chloe. Don't forget about me. In early March, FSU held its Black Directors Film Festival. Seminole Showcase reporter Chloe Harden reports.
Florida State University students are grabbing their popcorn and headed to the theater. FSU Student Life Cinema is educating the predominantly white institution on the black community.
Don't care about what's going on in the hood.
In an effort to make sure that every student feels represented, the ASkew Student Life Center created the Black Directors Film Festival. ASLC Alternatives Films Chair Alexandra Fouquet tells us more about the festival she helped plan.
Well, it's to let minority students know that we are paying attention to them. We recognize that they are here and they are coming to our theater. So we kind of program the festival for them, but also for campus as a whole to let them know about the representation of the film industry.
The festival included Black-directed films such as Widows, Boys in the Hood, and If Beale Street Could Talk, directed by FSU alumnus Barry Jenkins.
Probably one of the most iconic films to come out this year. We're still mad that it didn't win Best Picture, but it's definitely like one of the best examples of a director who comes from African American descent, who has kind of just proven that like we can do it.
Students from all corners of campus came to enjoy the opening ceremony. FSU student Aldenico Brioche shares why events like this one are more than just going to the movies.
I think it's really important to have a bit of a gathering space, a bit of a common space for young African-American filmmakers to come in and conversate. That black filmmakers, a lot of times, they tend to come from environments like this, from talking to their friends, from places where they find people with the common dreams, with
The ASLC is already gearing up for the next festival. Be sure to grab your seat before the credits roll. Reporting for Seminole Showcase, I'm Chloe Harden.
To learn more about upcoming events at the ASLC, visit union.fsu/movies.
On a weekly basis, I've been putting in about 100-hour work weeks. I think the most hours I work in a day is probably 20, and the least is 12. And then after this, I think I'm done. Oh, and I do the credits.
It's an honor to just get accepted into FSU's film school, but as you just heard, that's where the work begins. Before seniors graduate every spring, they have to show what they've learned by completing their own films. After months of work and a lengthy editing process, they hope to be accepted into film festivals and ultimately get jobs in this challenging industry. With the multitude of organizations on campus, it can be difficult to choose one that's right for you. The Student Theater Association is bringing together the skill sets and interests of future theater makers.
Susan, can I get some lights, please?
STA is a student-run production company at FSU that helps fellow students produce art that they want to see. Students come with applications and ideas, and STA helps bring them to life. Students receive marketing assistance, a budget, and all other kinds of help so they can do a show in the Conradi Theater on campus.
I've always gone to STA events, and I really enjoyed the kind of theater they put out, and they really try and foster a creative environment and let students do original work or fresh work or work they wouldn't be able to do in a different setting or context.
Students have the chance to perform all the roles you'd find at a typical theater so they can gain experience in the field they want to go into. You don't have to be a theater major to participate. Search for FSU STA on Facebook to find out more.
Amazing. It's incredible.
With the hard work it takes to put on a pageant, contestants push themselves to be the one to beat. The Caribbean Students Association brought their Met Gala theme to life on March 1st. With glitz to glam, great decorations, and high audience participation. This year's winners were Shayna Francis and Hakeem Hunter. Congratulations, you two. College students seem to have the busiest lives with classes, clubs, volunteering, and most of the time jobs or internships. I wonder how they can wind down. Well, as Seminole Showcase reporter Marianne Montague found out, Florida State University has its own area on campus that lets them get their hands a little dirty for fun.
Tallahassee, known as Florida's capital to the nation, but known as a place of constant construction and chaos to college students. Right down the road, though, is Florida State's own organic garden.
My old school, they didn't have anything like this. But when I first came here, when I saw this, I thought, wow, I think that shows a lot that the school cares about hobbies that students are interested in.
And it's this hobby that brings different stories together.
So growing up, I gardened all the time. It was something normal for me. I grew carrots and basil at home. I'd go out in the garden and pick my herbs for whatever we were cooking.
When I was a kid, my mom had a family garden.
At that workshop where you grow a bean that I think most kids go through, but unlike most other kids, my bean died. And from then on, I was always just very determined to get good at it.
Patience is key as a gardener, and through patience comes rewards.
Just coming, run out of space and go crazy. Just literally throw seeds in the ground and see what grows.
Yeah, it's very interesting and very cool to watch the plants grow from a tiny little seed to something big and then something delicious as well.
The organic garden not only allows students to grow their own plants, it also serves as a purpose for studying and relaxing.
I'll come out here, probably just do some homework, hanging out with some friends.
It's away from Landis and all the buzz of people, so it's a little more reserved, a little quieter, a little more private. It's just so peaceful. I just love it out here.
Yeah, sometimes for relaxation, but to me this garden means more than that. It's honestly the beginning of a revolution. It's a shrine, a respect for nature.
For Seminole Showcase, I'm Marianne Montague.
If you're interested in renting one of the garden beds, go to sustainablecampus.fsu.edu. Finding love in Tallahassee might not be as easy as it seems. Even with the vibrant nightlife and large student body, students are finding that the dating scene has its challenges. Finding successful relationship stories can be rare at FSU. Even when students make the effort to go on dates, it doesn't always turn out well.
I went on a really great date with a girl here in College Town, and right at the end, she said that her boyfriend was coming back into town. We were hitting it off. I thought, hey, this is going great. Nah.
With the popularization of dating apps, finding the one becomes tricky. Swiping in the hopes of finding romance can feel like wasted time. Sometimes it's easier to know they're just not that into you. There are ways to meet people outside the FSU bubble, so until then, a quick cheers to the single life. Cheers! And speaking of the single life, back to Josh and Chloe. Don't worry guys, I'm single too.
Thanks, Alejandra.
Now for a look at sports. Let's toss it to Adriana Williams.
Thanks, Josh and Chloe. As the Florida State baseball team stepped up to the plate for the 2019 season, Seminole fans prepared to say goodbye to Coach Mike Martin. Seminole Showcase reporter Logan Ward has a story about the end of an era.
Love FSU baseball. Baseball is our favorite sport.
Fans of Florida State baseball traveled from all over to line up for the 2019 season fan day to meet the final team to be led by Mike Martin one last time.
We're huge FSU fans, and particularly FSU baseball fans. We live over in Niceville, Florida, so we got up early this morning to get here early to meet the team and get a few things autographed.
Amanda says she's been a fan of Martin since her freshman year at Florida State, and as for her daughter, since the day she was born.
She was 6 weeks old. It was her first big outing to an FSU event, and we were able to get a picture with her and Coach Martin.
Now 14, Amanda's daughter Kylie was able to fulfill her goal of getting one more photo of her and Martin together while he's still the active coach.
Thank you so much.
Longtime FSU baseball fan Mark Burke says that Martin's good nature is an important part of his relationship with the fans.
That he's always been so genuine. He's been a fan favorite with everybody. I've watched him interact with the kids that come to the games as well as us big kids, and he's always been accessible.
As Mike Martin closes out his 40-year career as Florida State baseball's head coach, there's only one thing that fans wish for this season.
I hope we go all the way and win the College World Series. He deserves that. 11 deserves it more than any other coach in the country.
So let's win one for 11 one last time. Mike Martin will be gone, but he'll never be forgotten here.
Reporting for Seminole Showcase, I'm Logan Ward.
Florida State baseball held a celebration and roast for Mike Martin called A Night with 11 and Friends at the Civic Center in May. You see them cheering on Seminoles athletics at home games, but the cheer team has a reason to cheer for themselves. The Noles took home third place at the Universal Cheerleaders Association National Competition in January. The work starts in the fall and continues through winter break, and they have their goals set even higher, already working toward winning it all next year.
Next year, our goal, I think, is hopefully to recruit some talented members to replace our seniors, and we can just keep building and building. We would love to obviously do better and keep placing in the top 3. Even first would be great, but just really want to keep building off what we did this year.
This group of passionate Seminoles is looking forward to the next opportunity to win the program's first national championship since 1997. Sporting events are an important part of most students' college experience. Tickets for students are free, but become a hot commodity traded on digital platforms for profit when top ACC teams come to play. That was the case in January when the Duke men's basketball team came to Tallahassee. FSU student Victoria Reyes says she was denied access to the game after buying a ticket from a fellow student. While it is important to note that the student ticket policy at Florida State says student tickets are non-transferable, Reyes felt taken advantage of.
It said that the ticket had already been scanned, meaning that the girl who sold me the ticket basically was selling it over 2, 3, 4 times, God knows how many times, and just scamming people out of money just so that she can make a profit off of an already free ticket that she got.
To this day, Reyes was never able to receive a refund.
And cut 4. Ready your font?
Florida State students have been training for the ACC Network launch in late summer by getting hands-on experience as camera, graphics, and replay operators. They plan to take what they learn at Seminole Productions facilities when applying for jobs and after college. The launch date is set for August 22nd. Molly Carlson, a Canadian native, found a home away from home when she came to Florida State to pursue a collegiate career in diving. The highly acclaimed diver has been a force to be reckoned with since the moment she put on a swimsuit and cap. Seminole Showcase reporter Summer Schaefers dives deeper into her story.
Florida State University diver Molly Carlson found passion in the diving well when she was just a little girl. The esteemed diver since then has had quite the journey.
I started diving when I was 11 years old, I believe. Back home in Canada, I did gymnastics for a couple years, and my sister was a swimmer, and so I would always be at her practices watching these
girls doing these crazy tricks off platforms and stuff, and I was like, you know what, Mom, I think I'm gonna switch.
Molly found success very early on in her career, shocking the diving community with her natural ability.
The time I got my first 10 was amazing. I was 13 or 14. It was on like some basic dive, but I finally reached perfection for the first time in my life. I felt like all my hard work had gone into something.
The Canadian native joined the Seminole family back in 2016, where she instantly made a name for herself on campus and in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
When I won ACCs back in my freshman year, I got to perform what I love, and it just ended up on top.
The FSU diver's fellow teammates say she has a contagious energy about her. She always knows how to lift up the people around her.
Yeah, so Molly, her laugh is just so contagious. So every practice, she's always cheering on the teammates. Like, even if we do a really bad dive, she's laughing, making sure that the energy still stays up and that nobody takes things like too seriously.
Molly believes having fun is one of the main reasons she's been so successful in the sport.
The higher I go, the more fun I have. I prefer performing over practicing any day, and so I'm definitely the type to get on the board and just do what I love and try to make it as good as possible.
Molly demonstrates what it truly means to do what you love and love what you do. For Seminole Showcase, I'm Summer Schaefers.
To keep up with Molly and her future success here at Florida State and other prestigious events, check out Seminoles.com for updates and current stats. That's it for sports. Josh and Chloe, back to you.
Thanks, Adriana. Florida State's athletes have what it takes to make splash in competition. But those moves don't come from practice alone.
FSU's athletic dining hall, The Fig, fuels athletes for top performances daily. But on Fridays, the meal plan changes to a staple event, Honey Fried Chicken Fridays.
Seminole Showcase reporter Rebecca Farina has the mouth-watering story.
Florida State athletics is rooted in tradition, from the tomahawk chop to Osceola and Renegade and even the Garnet and Gold guys. But one tradition lies between all the game day fanfare. Honey Fried Chicken Friday at the Fig Players Dining Hall in Moore Athletic Center on Florida State's campus.
Every day in the Fig, it's usually really healthy food, so we get a little bit of a treat every Friday, and we look forward to it.
But this is definitely a favorite of mine. I'll come in here every Friday looking forward to Fried Chicken Friday.
This weekly event was started by sous chef John Wiggins after adding a little bit of honey to this dish.
Well, I was at home and just tried it and brought it in, and the kids loved it, and I've just been doing it from the early 80s.
Athletes and coaching staff will fill this dining hall behind me every Friday to get a taste of the fried chicken that has a quality that makes it so unique.
Because it's super sweet as well. It makes it different than anything I've tried.
Definitely the sweetness of it, adding the extra flavor to it is really cool blend. Putting honey on chicken isn't really something you'd think would go well together, but it's one of those things that just kind of works.
The sweetness is Tupelo honey sourced locally by a farm in Monticello, Florida. While Fridays may be a treat, these Seminoles understand the importance of healthy dining. But tradition is tradition, and this one seems to be here to stay, according to Wiggins.
Yes, I think it'll never go nowhere.
While this fan favorite may not be going anywhere soon, the fried chicken is going quite fast. For Seminole Showcase, I'm Rebecca Farina.
Have a good day. Thank you for coming.
Sounds delicious. For your chance to try this one-of-a-kind fried chicken, be sure to visit any of the 3 Florida State dining halls for lunch on Fridays. That's going to do it for this edition of Seminole Showcase.
Thanks so much for watching.